Michelle, Live Life Whimsically. And before I start, just let me say that everything I'm about to say is my opinion. It's not based on any facts, it's just my opinion. Seems that everybody has one regarding all of this bullshit, so why shouldn't I have one as well? Um, so it's my opinion. I'm not basing it on any facts. In my opinion, no one's basing anything on any facts. And everything is that's being said right now is a well planned out and tactical maneuver being driven by probably one particular person. And I think it's Katie Joy. And I think that people are manipulated by her. Yesterday, nonsense went off again, I guess, on LB. And, you know, I, I don't know why nonsense can talk about the Dre McRae and Marvin situation, and she's all right with Uni doing it as well. Um, but evidently, no one else is allowed to do that. And because if anybody else is doing it, they're just doing things to hurt the family. And I'm really curious as to what family she's talking about because I don't see very much care and concern towards Letitia, which is Vaughn's mother. And I also don't see any great care and concern about what any of this might do to Vaughn if and when he wakes up from his coma. Uni's already talking about him like he's dead, and I don't know what these people are doing, but all the stuff that, and I'm new to YouTube, admittedly, so all the stuff that I have seen um, from any of these creators, nonsense, Uni, Katie Joy, it seems to me, in my opinion, that it's like the Harlequin romance of YouTube drama, where there's a script written up and these people just have blanks where the names go, and then they just drop people that they're not happy with, that they're maybe envious of, or that think that they're encroaching on their turf, which is fucking ridiculous to me. And then you got the people that are their subscribers that will just jump in and tell you the same garbage that the creator says. It reminds me so much of the mind numbed people who watch network news, any network news, because they spew talking points that you can just tell because the words that come out of these people's mouths or off their fingertips as they're typing out a comment to something that you say to them. And I'll give you a for instance in a minute. Is exactly what the content creator says. So it's not even that they're coming up with an original thought. They're just going to spew what they have to say. So, for instance, yesterday, the fundraising bullshit came up again. And, I have been completely, I don't agree with a lot with Molly Golightly, but the one thing I do agree with that she said was, who takes back a donation? I don't understand. I never in my life, I'm 60 years old, almost 61 years old, and I've never, ever heard of anyone getting or asking for a donation, a charitable donation to be given back. And so I don't understand how even in social media that's a thing. And and so I know that happened. I know that people were asking for their money back, and I think it's fucking ridiculous. And I said so yesterday. I said, I'm really not huge on giving out money to people, even to big places like the Red Cross or whatever. I don't like to give money like that. I'd rather give money to a person that needs it in person. But even with that, if I'm going to give money to anybody, if somebody wants to borrow $20 from me, I don't give that money unless I know that if I never see that money again, or they don't do with the money what they say they're going to do with the money, whatever. I mean, if that's never even crossed my mind. And I've experienced where they did shit with my money that wasn't what they said they were going to do with the American Red Cross. Um, but if I can't afford it, or I think that I need to have this money back, then I don't give it, because I don't want to have my view of somebody skewed by the fact that I think they owe me $20. So I just don't do it. And I think that's a really good way to live. And I said that, and they were like, oh no, they all came at me. Well, not all, a few came at me and said, Well, we deserve receipts. We should be able to see what they did with it. And if we say we want them to use this $20 for that, then and this other person wants them to use this $20. So like say for Letitia, we want her to use this money for the lawyer. And then Bob over there says, I want them to use this money for travel. And then Stacy over here says, well, we want them to use this money for gas. Yo, really? So what is this grieving parent supposed to do? They're supposed to just like, okay, let me write this down so that I can post it on the wall so that Bob and Stacy and all of these people over here can see that I actually spent this money on gas and this money on the lawyer and this money. No. Why? I mean, can you even for 5 minutes put yourself in somebody else's position? Yesterday, they said on Nonsense that Letitia asked for the fundraiser. That's bullshit. I don't see any evidence of that. Where's the evidence of that? She posted a GoFundMe on her Facebook wall that someone else started for her. And when I went out, there was almost $5,000 in it. I don't know how much was in it before. I don't care how much was in it before. I don't know who gave, and I don't know who didn't. I've seen several other fundraisers out there for her as well. I don't like GoFundMe. GoFundMe takes some of that money, just like the American Red Cross does to keep their lights and shit on. I don't know what they need to do to keep their lights and shit on, but when people donate money for natural disasters or horrific situations for people, they shouldn't take that money and use it for anything. You want to get pissed off about something, get pissed off about that. So what I was going to tell you is this is how you get manipulated. And I remember what mass hysteria looks like. And to me, in a milder case, in my opinion, that's what some of these people's followers are. Molly's followers, Nonsense's followers, fucking KJ's followers. I mean, all of these people want so desperately to get the attention of the person whose channel it is that they're on. All of those people in the comments want them to be paid attention to, want to look like good little soldiers for the person that they're representing when they go out and say the things they do. When they comment to a reply to a comment like the one that I gave about just, stop. It's not a good look when you keep saying people need to show receipts and LB shouldn't be talking about this because she's supposed to be letting it go. And well, you're not letting it go either, Contessa. You're not. If you're going to pick up the story and give LB a bunch of crap about what she said, then you're not letting it drop either. So for all your bluster about that, that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're doing at all. So when I was in the church years and years and years ago, before any of these people were an inkling in anyone's eye, I remember watching the slow descent into madness that was my church when we lost our pastor and a new one came in just temporarily, and they tried to take us down a crazy road. I'm no longer Christian, by the way. So, I mean, whatever. But there was a night in the church where this guy brought everybody to a frenzy. He whipped up the church with a lot of rhetoric, crazy music, snake dancing, a bunch of shit. People were walking around the church, the sanctuary, screaming, tearing their clothes, ripping their hair out, because he told them that God had descended on the congregation and that they should all be drunk in Christ, and they went nuts. And I remember sitting in the pew looking around at all of this that was happening, and there were maybe 2 or 3 other people sitting around me that kind of we all kind of locked eyes with each other, and we were like, what is going on? And we realized that, there was some shenanigans, and I was young, in my mid-20s at the time. And I caught the eye of one dude that had been involved in the church way longer than I had. And we walked out of the sanctuary into the vestibule, and I looked at him and I said, what is happening? And he goes, you're witnessing mass hysteria. He said, because people think that if one person is doing it and they're not doing it, something's wrong with them. And so then you'll start to see everybody start to follow in step. But I didn't feel what they felt. So I did think he was right. I felt like what's wrong with me? Why don't I feel like I should be getting up and screaming and acting crazy like these people? And so there's very few people that will do that. I've even seen things online, like where they've done studies where they bring a bunch of actors in and they tell them to like, look at these 4 sticks, and they'll say, pick out the shortest stick. And clearly it's shorter than the others. And they'll pick out the longest one and say, that's the shortest one. And then the person that's not in on it, or not one of the actors, they'll go to him after they've asked, all the other people which one. And they'll pick the same one because they don't want to be the only person. They don't trust what they see as fact because everybody else said something different. And I really and truly believe that's what goes on in these groups. And maybe Nonsense doesn't get paid. She says she doesn't. I don't know. I don't understand enough about YouTube yet and how people get monetized to know. But I know damn good and well Molly and Katie and Uni are all getting paid very well for pushing people to believe a narrative. And I don't believe the narrative. I don't believe that Letitia started anything as a means to try to fuck with the broader YouTube audience and steal money from them. I don't believe it. I think it's a lie. And anybody who says that she did needs to really come with some serious receipts, because I've seen nothing. I have, since I first heard about this was my, I guess, introduction to YouTube, if you will. I've watched nothing since June or July except this. And I actually came across Dre on accident through Cece Suarez doing a deep dive on her vegan alkaline diet, and also the fact that she worked for paparazzi. And I had heard enough about paparazzi to know that their jewelry was toxic. And if Dre was at the top of the food chain and having, like maybe 1 or 2 pieces of paparazzi wouldn't make you go crazy with lead poisoning, but having hundreds and hundreds of pieces of jewelry that contain nickel and lead were probably, and the whole family's there bagging up this jewelry. Lead poisoning is a thing, and it makes you go crazy. And sometimes you can come back from it, and sometimes you can't. And I've even had people from all of these other channels tell me that Vaughn couldn't be abused because Dre was the woman. What are you talking about? Spousal abuse is a real thing, and it happens to dudes too. And so to say, and I listened to their fights. I listened to Dre and Marvon's fights, and I identified so much with him because I have been through spousal abuse before, 2 different times in my life, once with a boyfriend in the 80s and once with my son's father. And when you're controlled, when you're moved away from your friends and family, when you don't have a job and the one person controls the money and you have to do everything that person says, you don't know how to escape. You don't know. You think that this is just the way your life is going to be. And none of us know for real what went on in that house. Everybody says, oh, we saw everything was documented. What was happening on film is different than what was happening that we didn't see. So we don't know. But I can tell you that night that he says, I can't go anywhere, I don't have any money, you took my phone, all of that were things that I had said in my life to my ex-husband when I was trying to escape that marriage. And if she had an inkling at all that he was going to go, that he was starting to get support from his biological mother, the last thing this bitch is going to do is let him have access to his mother. Or anyone that was going to help him, his friend, because didn't he have a friend too that he wanted to go see, and she flipped out somebody from the military? And not to mention that he saw and did probably some really atrocious things when he was in the military himself. So there were so many things that he needed help with. And the fact that this woman let him have seizures and didn't call an ambulance and was treating him with cayenne pepper and key lime juice and not letting them eat regular food, went on this crazy ass diet that they were on. Uni and Nonsense are all going to say she was his wife and he loved her and she wanted to do the best for him. Bitch, please. In my opinion, there was serious spousal abuse going on just from what I saw with their lives, with the way she responded. If he didn't respond to her in the fashion that she thought, if he wasn't paying enough attention, she went off on this man. So I have watched ad nauseum Nonsense on the web, Contessa, Blunt Tessa, Fuck Tessa, all of those people talk shit non-stop about Letitia and Molly. Look, Molly may have had some nefarious fucking ideas. Maybe Molly lured Letitia in because Letitia isn't as savvy about the way fundraisers and YouTube and stuff works. Maybe she did. Maybe she did get money from that. I watched her tell her patrons the other day to make it rain on her. That was really distasteful and awful. I hated that. But I can tell you that I don't think Letitia did any of that. I think Letitia wanted to get to her kid, because I think about if it was my son, how I would be. And maybe you guys don't have babies. Maybe you do, and you just don't have a sense of self, can't put yourself in another person's shoes. Maybe you're just not as woke as me. I don't know. But whatever it is, you're beating at the wrong door, and you're doing it for a reason. And I really believe it's because of deflection from Katie Joy to other people, just like the mainstream media does, to keep you from looking at what's really happening. No, don't look at the man behind the curtain. Look over here, because it's the same story all the time for years. The same story, just change the names. Y'all are kind of disgusting. Y'all are kind of doing really terrible things to people that are going through some serious real life shit. And y'all need to be thinking about that. But I know you won't. And I know you don't give a fuck about me because I'm some little piddly channel with 56 followers. I know I ain't nothing, but I'm watching. And I'm going to call the shit out all the time. And I don't care what anybody thinks. I think it's ridiculous. And I think you guys should be fucking ashamed of yourselves for how you all are behaving. Fucking Katie's out there flashing beamers and talking about like what she needs for her son and all that crap. You know, just, I found her mildly amusing in the beginning, and I had subscribed to that channel because I really liked her coverage of reality TV, but she's a jealous bitch. There ain't no way around that. I watched her go on panel with Justin and Molly in the beginning of the whole Dre McRae thing, and I watched them both argue over who should get to say what on what channel. Watched it happen. Both of them are the same, which is probably why they don't like each other, because generally what you see in other people is what is wrong in you. And every time Katie has to make an apology, it's about the same shit. She probably got script for that as well. It's just like she's got the script with Uni that they just dropped the names of the target of the day. A bunch of fucking bully ass bitches. It's what you are. It's awful. It's real life. Dre is not a nice person. In my opinion, she's an addict. I've lived around addicts my entire fucking life. I can smell them a mile away. Just because she's using some K herb and everybody thinks that's okay, it ain't okay. It's the same thing as taking any other opiate. Same thing. So no. And she says out of one side of her mouth, she only wants to do natural stuff. And now the other side of her mouth, she's talking about Xanax. So no, step out of the chat room and just watch the stuff with an open mind and see what's going on. Dre caused this, in my opinion. Dre caused it, if for no other reason, because when he sees she wouldn't seek medical attention. She wanted to bring her own formula in for his feeding tube. Are you kidding me? This man has evidently tried to hurt himself, is unable to take care of himself properly, needs life support to stay on the planet. And you think where did you get your medical degree? Why are you guys not calling that out? The medical degree. Where's her medical degree? Why is that not something you talk about? Why is it constantly Molly? Why do you never call out Katie Joy? And I also heard nonsense that Steve McRae offered to come on your panel. Is he lying? Because I thought I heard you ask that you would like that to happen, and he says that he's ready to do it. So I'm just waiting. I don't know much about that story, but I'd like to hear. And if you're gonna ask questions, I'd drop for that. I'd watch that. So You know, if you are working for somebody, trying to deflect whatever's happening, here's a little piece of advice. Maybe occasionally change your target up so it doesn't become so fucking obvious that you're being used as a pawn in somebody else's war. Peace out.